how do I deal with people that are in lower vibration and their family members? How do I protect myself?
You don't need protection.
Okay.
The first thing you do is stop assuming, stop believing that you need protection, because when you buy into the idea that you need protection, you will attract something that you need protection from. You understand? Because
Okay.
you're focused on the idea of protection, not on the idea that you don't need it. Does that make sense, first of all?
It makes sense.
All
Okay.
right, we're getting there.
Okay, yes.
Hold on. If you stay in the vibrational state that you prefer, what difference does it make what vibrational state anyone else is in? Because they have no power to affect you unless you agree to alter your vibrational state to match the vibrational state you say exists in them that you don't prefer. So the question would be, why would you do that if you don't prefer it?
Okay.
Do you understand what we've asked
Yes,
you?
I understand. I just don't know why I'm doing it then.
Well, that
Because-
means you have to get in touch with the belief system within yourself that makes it seem logical to choose something you don't prefer instead of choosing something that you do. It all comes down to what we call the motivational mechanism within each of you. You always, unerringly, always move in the direction of what you believe to be in your best interest, and you always immediately and automatically move away from what you believe to not be in your best interest. But the key word here is believe. So if you've attached a belief to something you don't prefer that makes it appear to be the better choice than what you do for some reason, you will move in the direction of what you don't prefer until you find out what the belief is you've attached to it that makes it seem to be the preferable choice over what it is you know you would actually prefer. You have to get in touch with that definition. Find out what definition you've attached to that mechanism that makes you move in the opposite direction to the direction you prefer to move in. And once you discover what it is, once you identify that definition consciously, you will see that it doesn't belong there. It makes no sense, and you will let it go. And as soon as you let it go and rearrange the way your beliefs are attached to your motivational mechanism, you will then unerringly move in the direction of what you prefer instead of what you don't. Many people will do this on your planet because they assign all sorts of negative beliefs and fears and attach them to the idea of what is actually what they prefer, such as, well, if I'm successful at this, then I will be so different from all my friends that I will be alienated from them, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want them to think differently of me than they do now, so I will avoid moving in the direction of being myself as best as I possibly can. Until you realize that if you have that kind of a definition and say, well, wait a minute, that makes no sense. I can be myself. I won't lose the friends that count. And when you realize that it makes no sense to think in the way you've been thinking, then you will see that you will drop that idea and you will allow yourself to move in the direction of what you prefer, because you will no longer worry about losing friends, because really, by definition, if you lose them, they're not your friends.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So the idea of being yourself clarifies the rest of the reality around you and demonstrates very clearly what is and isn't vibrationally compatible with who you prefer to be. And those that are not vibrationally compatible, then it's up to you to have the compassion to recognize that they may be making different choices for themselves, and that those choices may be serving them at this time. You always have the ability, by being yourself, to act as an example of what they can choose for themselves by seeing in you a very happy person and maybe being curious about, well, how come you're so happy? How can I be happy like that? And then you act as an example that they may also choose to mirror for themselves. But you have to also be willing to allow them to choose something different, knowing that just because they may choose something that is not vibrationally compatible with you, that has absolutely no effect on your ability to choose the vibration that you prefer. And you allow them and have the compassion to allow them to choose what they will. Because if you want to be allowed to choose what you prefer, you also have to allow others to choose what they prefer, even if it's completely the opposite of what you prefer. Just because you can observe neutrally that they're choosing something that's not compatible with your vibration doesn't mean that it's going to affect you in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, if you allow it to affect you, if you match their vibration, then all you're doing is reinforcing the negative energy that you want them to change. You understand?
True. Yes.
So just go on living happily and be the example in their life, so that someday, maybe if they decide to look for the idea of happiness within themselves, they will at least have an example in you that they can turn to and perhaps learn to mirror. Does this help you?
Yes, it does.